Original teaching. Experience brings transformation. One esoteric truth you need to know. Soul. Know thyself. Soul. Why have the teachings of Jesus been turned into a religion? Who has sown tares in with his wheat? The book of Revelation can show the beginning of the corruption of his teachings. Read Revelation 1:11 to 3:22. Examining the literature and historical archives can reveal the rest. Jesus came speaking in parables, just as the prophet in the Hebrew Scriptures said he would, reading Matthew 13:35, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. And why did Jesus come speaking in parables? Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Matthew 13:13. The scrolls, which make up the New Testament teachings of Jesus, were written to conceal Jesus' teachings so they would filter through to now, the end time. One method used to conceal his teachings was the use of synonyms. The following are some of the synonyms used for the word soul: heart, Satan, devil, adversary, evil, God, deceiver, false prophet, dragon, beast, serpent, evil spirit, the prince of this world, and the list goes on. The law and the prophets were until John the Baptizer. Since that time the kingdom of God is taught, and every man presses into it. Luke 16:16. But how can we find the kingdom of God unless someone shows us the way, unless someone gives us the knowledge? Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the soul of man, the things which God hath prepared for them that do love. 1 Corinthians 2:9. And this is the parable of the sower in Matthew 13:2-23. Jesus came to earth, brought the teachings of God from other earth, and gave the teachings freely. The souls of some men quickly destroyed them. The souls of other men endured for a short time, but the cares of his world turned them away. And some men's souls rose up and choked them off with the rationalizations of prior learning. But some souls were ready. Those who were ready had been prepared, and they prospered. For they were ready, and it was their time to learn the mystery kept secret since the world began. And this is the working of the soul. He who receives seed by the wayside has no understanding, no prior learning. It is nonsense to the educated of this world, and so it is easy for the soul to use its contents against the man's mind, and take away any such thoughts which are given to it. And the same thing happens to he who hears, and likes what he hears, but because he has no prior seeking of such things, he endures for a while and turns away. And then there is the businessman of this world, busy chasing money. He has no time nor interest, for his soul has blinded his mind completely. In Matthew 13:37-43, Jesus explains the tares of the field to the disciples, saying, The good seed are the teachings I bring. The field is this world. The tares are the contaminations which come from the imaginations of the souls of men. The heart is the soul, and the soul is of the devil, of the wicked one. The soul is the enemy and pollutes my teachings. The harvest comes at the death of the physical body, when the dead are resurrected and the tares are separated. The reapers of life are those who understand and do my teachings. The rest do not reach other earth, but remain below in the land of the dead. The God of this world holds the people in darkness, in ignorance. Certainly you know the schemes of the adversary are not few, and that its tricks are varied, for God does not put any man to the test. God knows all things before they happen, just as God knows the hidden things. Nevertheless, the wheat and the tares have been left to grow together until now, the end time. Yes, the time is fulfilled, and herein is the mystery kept secret since the beginning of the world revealed. This is the world of soul, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Vengeance is mine, saith the soul. It is time for us to turn away from the false teachings and superstitions of the past and learn the true teachings of Jesus, which can set us free from bondage to soul and this land of the dead. Not knowing, everyone is born into this evil world of soul and believes its deceptions of good. that its whisperings are righteous, that its voices are thinking. We have not the knowledge that its design is to bind us to the things of this world. So with no other knowledge to work with, across the sands of time, in one form or another, religions have been used by soul to perpetuate its evil under the guise of good. When it looked like men couldn't figure out the mystery, and they had slain all the prophets who were sent into this world, the Prince of Life came. He taught that this is the evil world of soul, and that all evil comes from the soul of good and evil. He taught that the soul is controlling our mind. He showed us what to look for and how to prove it to ourselves. Long ago, those who came to understand the teachings of Jesus knew that the souls of men would destroy the teachings, and so they wrote the scrolls to conceal the teachings of Jesus, so they would pass through to the prophesied end time. We are not the animal, the mammal, the Homo sapiens sapien called man, but inside the man dwells the soul, and us, the mind. The design doesn't get any simpler than this. The soul is the seat of appetites, the seat of emotions and passions, the cause of all our mind's activity. The soul is bad, evil, disagreeable, displeasing, malignant, unpleasant, unhappy, miserable, and gives pain. The soul is sad, hurtful, unkind, and vicious. It is ethically wicked in thought, word, and deed. The soul has cunning craftiness, whereby it lays in wait and uses good to deceive us from learning of its existence and its true nature. Yes, it uses good to conceal its true identity, and its design is to refuse us the understanding of invisible things, and to keep us focused on the material things of this physical world. This is the world of soul. Soul is the Lord of all human beings. Everyone drinks of their soul's fornication, some becoming rich through the knowledge of her delicacies, and so it is written, there is none good, no, not one soul is good. The soul leads us after the body's senses, unstable with covetous practices, following its pernicious ways, self-controlling, presumptuous, and bold. It is the soul which keeps us busy, laying up treasures in this world which moth and rust doth destroy. The soul's design is for sin. It is full of lust, anger, greed, attachment, and vanity. We seem to be fighting with ourselves all life long to be good, to do the right thing, when in reality we're battling with the evil soul inside. Soul knows what it is and what it needs to do to hold us in bondage. It does not sleep. It does not cease from its labor for a moment. The soul is constantly deep in thought, a well that cannot run dry. It hypnotizes us with its dreams. It is of the God of this world, and we have unknowingly been serving this soul of mammon. Our eyes have been closed so we cannot see, and our minds made such that they cannot understand. We hearken not, but walk after the counsels of the soul, ever going around in circles instead of forward. We have been made vain in the soul's imagination. The soul has corrupted our mind. We have bathed in the lusts of the soul and changed the teachings of Jesus into a lie, worshiping and serving the creature instead of the Creator. Come now, learn of and understand how to experience the soul and its works of evil. Judge the soul, for that judgment is true. The soul is the prince of this world. It is the evil within every man, woman, and child on the planet. But know now, we cannot perfect that which cannot be perfected. Try as we might, we can only feed the soul with more information to use against our mind. Soul is of this world. The soul cannot be changed from its design and purpose. However, the relationship between the soul and the mind can be changed, and this is called the way. And it shall come to pass that everyone who learns of the soul and applies the teachings of Jesus shall become masters of his temple, and then the saying will come true, reading James 4:7, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Now is the time to disconnect from the soul. Now is the time to stop eating from the tree of good and evil. The soul is the god of this world, that serpent, that devil, Satan, which works in the sons of disobedience. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. Revelation 18:1-4. It is the soul which causes us to chase after wealth, fame, honor, lifelong, and all the things of this world. It is also the soul which destroys our hopes, our dreams, and holds us in captivity to its iniquities. The soul's power is great. What the soul desires, we chase after. The soul's control and rule over us rests in keeping us ignorant of itself and its ways, preoccupied with the things of this world. The soul can cast evil thoughts into our mind as good. How can we recognize the deceitfulness of this soul? How can we comprehend the schemes of soul? How can we understand its mind-darkening counsels? Think about the ways you've been used to trick, deceive, manipulate, and control others. Could these be the same tactics soul uses to trick and deceive you? To the hungry soul, every bitter thing can be made sweet with justification through rationalization. The soul causes doubt through its subtle whisperings. The soul studies good and evil, that an opportunity may give rise to allow it to do its mischief. It is the soul which has blinded us from seeing that which has been written in plain sight on the pages of the Bible. If you still cannot see these words, it is because you are still following the dictates of the stored information in the soul. Information put there through reading and listening to religion, spirituality, and superstition. We have been walking after the imagination of the God of this world. By continuing to follow those religious fables and superstitions of our ancestors, mixed in with the teachings of Jesus, our eyes remain blind and our ears stopped up, lest we understand and turn to the tree of life and return home to other earth. The soul is the burning desire, the flaming sword which turns every which way to keep us from the tree of life. The serpent is more cunning than it will allow us to understand. Though our ignorance of its existence and how it works, we experience cycle after cycle of pain and suffering. From within, out of the souls of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murderers, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these things come from within the soul of man and defile the man. Mark 7:21-23. The inferiority of man is not obvious to the naked eye, but lays concealed in that which is hidden from view. There is a physical and there is a spiritual, things seen and things unseen. Our adversary, the soul, walks about as a roaring lion, hidden from sight, seeking ways to devour us through deception. Certainly you have read the schemes of the adversary are not few, and the tricks which it uses are varied. This earth is the habitation of every unclean soul. The inhabitants of this world are made drunk with the wine of its fornication. It is full of abominations and filthiness. The soul's wickedness is great, and its iniquities are many. You know this by looking around the world. If you don't see it, it is because you are being kept busy with the things of this world. You walk according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Ephesians 2:2. And reading Genesis 8:21 in part. The imagination of a man's soul is evil from his youth. Reading 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. The soul is Satan. It savors the things of this world. The soul works wickedness and hides behind good. It works to gain control and lead us away from our youth, corrupting us so we will not cease from loving the ways of the flesh. While wisdom may summon us, we desire folly. Not by ourselves do we do these things, but it is the soul within that creates the desire. Become sober and shake off the drunkenness of the soul, which is but the darkness of ignorance. This is an opportunity to attain life once again, a life free from the bondage of soul. Prepare to go to war against the soul within by putting on the armor of knowledge and applying the sword of truth to divide asunder the soul from yourself, mind. Soul has ruled over us because we have not had the knowledge and the understanding to correct ourselves. Until now we have been unable to comprehend soul, let alone understand its design. The soul's design is for lust, anger, greed, attachment, and vanity. It began to seek control of us from the moment we were born. Other souls around us feed the soul within and awaken latent memories. We quickly become caught up in the deceptions of this world, and so it is written, there are none righteous, no, not one. Romans 3:10. No, not one soul is righteous. God knoweth the soul, for that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of God. Luke 16:15. O generation after generation of vipers, you speak evil things, for out of the abundance of your evil souls your mouths speak. Know now that by these same words you speak to judge one another, they shall judge you in the end. For as a man thinketh, so he becomes. Every man reaps according to the contents of the soul. You sow greed, you reap the fruit of greed. You sow anger, you reap the fruit of that anger. Out of the abundance of the soul the unchecked mouth speaketh. Out of the soul comes great rationalizations to disguise the evil as good. As you judge one another, so are you preparing your own judgment, for the soul becomes your judge in the end, because you have chosen it as your God. And herein is the wisdom for those who have eyes to see and minds to understand. Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. All the merchants within the soul are of one purpose, to give their power and strength unto the beast. Hate the whore, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with her own fire, desires. Watch her squirm like the worm she is, that serpent, that dragon, that false prophet, that angel of light in the bottomless pit, that adversary, the destroyer, that devil, Satan the soul. Reward her as she has rewarded you. Refuse her desires and her whisperings, and feel her burn with desire. Buy not her merchandise any more, and let the desire she has made you lust after wither on the vine. Listen to the merchants within as they wail and weep for her, because she has no outlet for their merchandise no more. Only then shall the craftiness of her craftsmen be found no more controlling thee, and her light will shine no more in thee. For by her sorceries are all men deceived. Reading 2 Corinthians 11:14. And marvel not, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Blessed are those who understand what they have just heard. If you don't understand, why do you not understand? Is it because you are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you do? This world hates me, because I testify that the works there are of evil. Marvel not, and do not let the soul whisper in your mind that these things written herein are not true. For even Jesus' closest disciples, men and women walking, talking, asking questions, and living with him every moment of every day, did not fully understand his teachings, as we can see by reading Mark 8:17. Perceive ye not, neither understand? Have your souls yet hardened? Then in Mark 8:33 we see that Peter didn't understand Jesus' teachings, reading where Jesus rebukes Peter, saying, Get behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. This is quite late in Jesus' ministry, and we see one of his closest disciples still did not understand the teaching because of the Jewish religion and the Hebrew customs and the culture which had been sown into his soul from an early age onwards. Then again, we see the leaven of the Jewish religion coming out of Peter in Mark 9:5, where he suggests building 3 tabernacles. And even later on, we read in Mark 10:10, and the disciples were astonished at his words, astonished out of measure. Mark 10:26. The disciples did not fully understand Jesus' teachings because his teachings were not about religion, but the disciples kept equating them with the religion of the times. Even after Jesus rose from the dead, we read him questioning their understanding of his teachings in Luke 24:38. Why do thoughts arise in your minds? The disciples did not fully understand the soul and its operation, or the thoughts would not be rising from the soul into their minds and controlling them. The soul is the invisible god of this world, Satan's design. It is the great deceiver of all peoples in all nations. The soul is the God which creates and gives life to all religions. The soul has the whole world preaching many distorted gospels. The soul is the father of lies. The soul continues to deceive mankind. The soul's merchandise deceive even the greatest of men. By her sorcery all nations are held in bondage and do her bidding. In her can be found the blood of all the prophets and saints, and the blood of all who have been slain in this world. If you cannot understand these words, it is because you are walking after the things of this world. You are walking after the imagination of the soul. You are blinded by the religious beliefs of this world. All religions have been created through the imagination of soul to keep us in darkness. History has and continues to reveal the evil of religion. Soul deceives us into believing that we are saved, or spiritual, or on the path, by using the very clever deception of book knowledge, whereby we believe that what we know means we are saved, spiritual, or on the path. The soul keeps us forever learning and never able to come to the truth. 2 Timothy 3:7. Soul prevents us from coming to the understanding of the truth by making the spiritual path a path of continuous external entertainment, a verbal show of words, talking the talk but never walking the walk. It's time to step off the circular path of soul, which leads nowhere, and step onto the path of personal inner enlightenment about soul. Our eyes have been closed that we cannot see, our minds made such that we do not want to listen. We neither hearken nor incline an ear. We continue to walk after the counsels of the soul, ever going around in circles instead of forward. And so, reading the soul does not let us understand, at least we apply these teachings of Jesus to resurrect ourselves out of this evil world and back into the kingdom of God on other earth. Freedom is being free from soul's control. This is not to say that we cannot use soul, but that we stop the soul from using us. We must reverse the relationship whereby we become the master and the soul becomes the servant. Seek the truth for yourself. Prove all things and hold fast to that which is true. Let your own personal experience be your guiding light. Man, know thyself. Come out of her that you may cease to be a partaker of her sins, and thereby stop receiving her plagues. How much has she glorified herself and lived deliciously through you? The soul blinds our eyes and stops up our ears so that reading and listening we do not understand. Take action and become born again of a new mind. We live in the land of the dead, in that grave with soul. If we sin, it is the soul which causes us to sin. If we stop sinning, it is we who stop listening to soul. Know of the devil inside, and go and sin no more. We commit sin because we are the servants of the soul's desire. The way of soul is sin and death. A man's foes are they of his own soul. Think about the various ways the soul can gain access into your mind. Become the master of the soul by using your mind to catch the wiles of soul. By knowing what the soul is and how it operates, you'll begin to identify its tricks and deceptions, and you'll be able to pass through its trials and tribulations. Learn of the evil soul within and how it works. As we work to cease from soul's activities and take back control, we suffer like Job. We suffer the trials and tribulations of soul. There is no other way. The soul will be forever warring against us while we are inside the human form. The soul will be forever trying to bring us back under its control. Jesus had the same experience because he too came into the human form. Remember how he was tempted to use his power for something other than that of his Father's business? And how his soul left him alone for a little season? Luke 4:13. Yes, Jesus was here in the physical body with a soul that tempted him many times in many ways, causing him great pain and suffering. He fought against his soul all life long, right up to the end in that place called Gethsemane, and onto the cross when he exclaimed, "It's finished." Jesus is the example. He has shown us the way that leads back to home on life on other earth. He has revealed the evil soul and this evil world. He has revealed that we are being held in bondage by the soul. He has revealed that we have been eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It is now time to rise up and eat from the tree of life that we may live again. Reading Hebrews 3:10. They do always err in their soul, and they have not known my ways. They shall not enter into my rest. For he that is entered into his rest, he hath also ceased from his soul's work. Hebrews 4:10. Exercise leadership over the soul. Exercise authority over the soul. Take back control and become master of your temple. Rule over the soul with the will of your mind. As long as we are here in the physical human body, the soul will not leave us alone, and so we must constantly stand on guard against its tricks and deceptions, forever watching and attentive to its ways, always vigilant of the soul and its wiles. Soul's deceptions are many. Soul is the great deceiver. Once you have the understanding of soul and how it works, you don't need to read anything ever again, not even this. Stop the reading and get to work applying. We are raised up from the dead by the teachings of Jesus to walk in a new life. We are born again through the application of Jesus' teachings. Just as we have all shared in the same death, so shall we all share in the same resurrection from the dead unto life. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. John 12:31. And reading 1 Corinthians 15:26, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. This is the mystery of the immovable race. We are raised up from the dead by the teachings of Jesus. Reading Matthew 18:3, verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. The born-again process will be as though you are going crazy, like you become a stranger in a strange land. It will be a fiery trial. This is the fight for life, and the soul is not going down without many battles. You are going to fall on your face time and time again, but take those failures as opportunities to learn of soul's crafty and deceitful devices and ways. Keep at it and push yourself until you come to the realization, I don't want to be ruled by this evil soul any longer. I hate this world. Understand what it is you must do, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end. Therein is your clue. Mark 3:26. So first you must bind the soul by taking control, by not partaking in its sins, and thereby spoil its house. And take heed, lest at any time the soul becomes overcharged with suffering and drunkenness, and the cares of this life. Watch, unless that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come upon all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Luke 21:34-35. In patience possess ye the soul. Luke 21:19. Circumcise yourself from the soul and receive the baptism of life. Reading Romans 2:29. Circumcision is not that outwardly in the flesh, but inwardly circumcision is that of the soul, the heart. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. The soul which causes me to do that what I would not. For I see in a law in my flesh, warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my body. Romans 7:18-23. The soul, that devil, dwells inside each one of us, causing us to do its evil bidding, that even when we do good, the good is to hide itself from our awareness. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is the basis of this world's rule of law. It's just more evil for evil. Turn your mind away from such evil. Do not let the soul justify evil for evil under the guise of closure, satisfaction, justice has been served, or any other justification through rationalization. All earthly laws are designed to counter the effects of the evil soul, but they only serve to proselytize even more evil by providing information for the soul to create sin. For the soul, taking occasion by its contents, deceives us and slays us time and time again. The soul contents are evil and constantly warring with our mind. Throw every robber out of your mind. Guard all the gateways into your mind with torches, knowledge, and you will acquire a quiet life, a peace which passes all understanding. Let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the soul and become exceedingly glad in the tribulation to come. For it is the trials and tribulations which shall besiege us that create the new man. Jesus came to show us the evil soul and how to deliver ourselves from this evil world. So long as the soul rules inside the temple, there will be no place and no freedom. There will be no hope as long as we walk after the dictates of the soul. For we are walking after the evil created by the soul's power of imagination. Reading Luke 1:51, in the imagination of their souls, and reading Genesis 6:5, God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, that every imagination of the thoughts of his soul was only evil continually. The soul contains all the evil which makes the mind sick. Nothing that a soul can imagine can be restrained by an uneducated mind. The soul casts spiritual knowledge into the mind of the guise of survival thinking. The soul is the god of this world. All evil plaguing this world is the result of this deceitfully wicked soul. The wicked man boasts of his soul's desires. Many things are but sours of the soul. The soul contains great evil. It makes us suffer. The pride of the soul is self-righteousness, which deceives us. The soul works great lying wonders. It schemes from the moment we are born until the day the body dies, leading us into temptation and trespasses. Mischief is in the soul. He that is of a proud soul stirs up strife. He that trusts in the soul is a fool, and the fool says, there is no God. Your sins are forgiven. Go and sin no more. Do not allow the soul to cause you to sin any more. Know thyself. The soul studies destruction that may give rise to mischief. The soul is inclined to evil. To the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. The soul despises reproof. Why do you allow the soul to control you? Until now you have worked for the soul's desires. Now come out of that whore and see what she has been doing to you. The mind is above, Satan is below. Rise up out of that bottomless pit of sin, sadness, and suffering. The soul has reigned from Adam to Moses to Jesus to Muhammad until now, the end time. The mystery kept secret since the beginning, soul, has been revealed that we may return home to other earth. Let us bring to light the hidden things and evil counsels of the soul, reading what Jesus says in Matthew 19:17. Why callest thou me good? There is none good but God. Jesus exposed the evil soul and its works in all men, the soul which creates this world of evil. Jesus gave the teachings about the soul to enlighten our darkness. He told us, the world hates me because I testify that the works there are evil. If the world hates me, you know that it hated me before it hated you. John 7:7, John 15:18. Souls love souls, and each soul uses other souls to help in maintaining control of our mind. All souls are of the same design. All souls are connected by reason of a singleness of purpose, to keep us ignorant, and here, to keep us eating from its good and evil, and away from the tree of life. Rise up and eat from the tree of life, that you may live forever. Let these teachings of Jesus be your guiding light to show you the way of the unwavering race of the righteousness on other earth. For when we strip off from ourselves that which is corrupt, then we will become illuminators in the midst of darkness. And then we will recall to remembrance in the former days, in which after we were illuminated, how we endured a great fight of afflictions. Hebrews 10:32. Remember Job? He said, though I were perfect, yet would I not know my own soul. I would despise my life. Job 9:21. No one said it was going to be easy. It is only by becoming born again that you will understand Jesus' teachings and return home to other earth. However, until the resurrection from the dead and the return home, we must stand on guard and constantly fight against the wiles of the soul. The problem is that while wisdom summons us, in our habituated state we desire folly. Not by our own will do we do these things, but it is the soul within which causes us to do them. We are the servants of soul. We follow whatever is delivered to our minds from below. Now we must take a stand, become sober, and shake off the drunkenness of the soul, which is but the ignorance of Jesus' teachings. He who will not guard himself against the wiles of the soul will become like a city which is desolate. Since it has been captured, all kinds of wild beasts have trampled upon it. For selfish thoughts, which are not good, are evil wild beasts. Your city, mine, has been filled with robbers and all kinds of wild beasts, and so you cannot attain peace of mind no matter what you try. The wicked one, who is a tyrant, is lord over you. The wicked one controls the whole city. To begin to realize that there is a soul, and to start the separation process from oneself, may take months of soul-searching, no pun intended. It's your own personal experience of looking, watching, and catching the soul in action that will begin to awaken you to the reality of this world. You will have to experience your own thoughts, words, and actions, catching the sneaky soul at work many times to begin to understand the depths of soul's craftiness, to grasp the enormity and complexity of the deceptions orchestrated by the soul. If you do not fight the beast and make changes, you will remain with that soul in the land of the dead. The first Adam was made a living soul, and as in Adam all die. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit, made alive. For since by man came death, by man came the resurrection of the dead. 1 Corinthians 15:45, 22, 21. Jesus came to set the stage for the end time when his teachings could be spread around the world for a witness unto all nations. This is the beginning of the end of soul's deception, when the mystery from God should be finished. Blessed are those to whom the understanding of the mystery is being revealed, for these teachings of Jesus are not being revealed by any earthly wisdom, but through revelation, by the grand design which preordained to make known in the last days the mystery kept secret since the world began, the soul and how it operates. There is nothing unknown which cannot be known by the serious seeker. Happy is the wise man that seeks after the truth and finds it. For when he has found it, it is his strength to resist those evil souls who want to derail him. Please click here to subscribe and watch this next video, or watch this next video. Thank you.